Good Night, the movie with Kirk Russell on Stargates, actually the movie Stargate. And it was a pyramid, remember this? But the pyramid itself was a spacecraft. So I think the Book of Enoch, what a lot of people don't understand, here's the thing that everyone must understand. Fallen angels were such, before they fell, they were exposed to the technology. They understood the mysteries of the universe as God revealed. I mean, the secret things of the Lord belong to God, but that which he revealed. And they use that, the fallen angels, the fallen ones, use that technology to ultimately destroy mankind, because that's their end goal. And, Jesus said if he didn't shorten the days for the elect's sake, those redeemed by his blood, there'd be no flesh left alive. And now you've got technologists that are salivating like hungry vampires, waiting to destroy the human seed to implant the seed of the serpent in a technological form and shape. And most people, like I'll be talking about, and I asked L.A. this, and you remember we were there, but I asked him, L.A., did you ever tie alien implant with artificial intelligence? Because there you have the seeming inorganic, organic, if you will, interplay. So I'm telling you, I can't stay in my seat. I'm excited to hear what you have to say, Mr. Sheriff.
Yeah. Well, what can we say? The fascinating thing to me is that we have arrived at the moment in history when all of this is exploding. For example, and you know this probably better than I do, but television now is beginning to feature disclosure, quote unquote. And that word disclosure is a very hot word right now. And the government is supposedly finding ways to leak out little bits and pieces of information to the public so that they won't be frightened when they discover the truth that, yes, we are being visited by visitors from outer space or from other galaxies. And that's going to be the dogma. That's going to be the propaganda. And you and I are, at least I know I am dead set against that particular reading of world history. They're not from those places at all. They're from right here on good old planet Earth. And disclosure is, I think, a setup to form a secular government to deal with what they will present as a particular kind of problem. How do we deal with our new progenitors, or how do we deal with the people who say they have returned to see mankind into a golden age? How do we deal with people like that? And that's what the government's going to be, I think, preoccupied with in days to come as disclosure grows.
Well,
Steve, can I throw a toss on that question here?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Mr. Stearman, how will the world religions react to this? Not just Christianity, but other religions. How? And you don't have to answer, I mean, to the extent that you'd like, but I mean, how would all of the world religions react to this disclosure? I'm just curious.
Well, just off the top of my head, in India, the predominant number of religions in India speak of flying craft that used to visit planet Earth, and there was a great war in the past, and after that they were not seen again. And these craft, which we would call UFOs, the Indians refer to as vimanas, and I'm sure you've heard that term. And these flying vehicles, I think, will be at some point in the future said to have returned. The old ones have returned. For example, the Chinese worship the flying dragon, and the dragon is always accompanied by a fiery disc. Not many people know that, but the fiery disc is a Chinese emblem, which used to appear in the skies quite regularly, say the Chinese, and Taoism really deals with this. But imagine the dragon showing up with his flying disc in person. And so you've got the Indian, the Hindus, and then 1,000 other religions over in the Far East, all looking for the old ones to return. And just to answer your question quickly, I think that they will say, wow, it's happening. The old ones have come back, and we're about to enter a new golden age.
This is going to be the effect of reducing Jesus' even more than he's being reduced in the on the world stage, reducing him to an operative of the larger. Maybe I'm screwing up.
Oh yeah, you're saying right. Here's the thing: they're going to claim, the aliens already claim, and there was a group of scientists who believe this. They're very well placed, very high security clearance. But the aviary that claim that there are DROPA discs, DROPA discs, that literally show the crucifixion of Jesus Christ and saucers in the air. Now, we know what we can do in our generation just with computer simulations. But remember that the crystals, and most people don't realize this, even the transistor changed the history of the world, but it was in the original crystal radio sets. But the groups will have collaborating evidence that even so much that if they can give you an HD or 4K version of the crucifixion of Jesus and claim they sent him, they will deceive so marvelously that Jesus said that except, he tells us that we would be deceived. It's going to be so great. So, Doug, it's going to be the greatest mind control and projection, holographic projections, and the way the brain works and stuff. By the way, Gary Cole will be talking about holonomic brain theory, which is obviously what Chuck Misser was always talking about. And the thing that's critical is that they will, how do I say this? If you're hearing that the U.S. military can hit you with a laser and put thoughts in your head and the voices of God in your head, which they tried to do with David Koresh, then understand that the technology, that what will you know as reality, will they be able to divorce even the cognitive function of the human brain and just give you nothing but imagery and program that as a real fact, and everything as biblical as just being myth and legend. They'll take myth and legends and put it as a primary truth in the universe, and take our Lord and the workings of the living God and put it as secondary, and it will be relegated to the dustpan of history. Go ahead, Gary.
I would just like to say that there is a modern mythology. It's called science fiction. And Arthur C. Clarke, who was, by the way, a satellite theoretician, he developed all the formulas that enabled us to put communications satellites in orbit. So he's a brilliant man. He wrote a series of sci-fi novels, the first of which was called Childhood's End. And he had humanity in the latter days visited by a benevolent personage who finally inspires confidence in the leaders of planet Earth, and he agrees on a certain day he will land and get out of his ship and greet the masses, and a new golden age would be visited on planet Earth. Well, when he, and I'll give away the secret here, the last chapter, when the ship lands and the new overlord gets out of the ship, guess what? He has leathery skin, he has fangs, pointy ears, horns, and a forked tail. But he's a wonderful man. And that's the end of the story.
Just describe my mother-in-law.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can immediately relate to that description. But here's the deal, and that was before the Underwood deviled hand, caricature of the devil was placed on their marketing thing. And I think that's really important, because the lying signs and wonders, and this is something I tell people about the two witnesses, Gary, God isn't just going to leave Satan incarnate and the false prophet on the earth and then allow, his creation just to go, well, what does this mean? God will have his two witnesses to be able to challenge. And, the point being is, if it's Elijah and Enoch, which I believe, if it's Moses, and Moses be the only guy in history to die twice. Obviously, the angels buried him. So if you're going to have the most supernatural war games, and let's call it war games, because in some people's mind, war is a game. In my mind, it's the eternal destiny of billions of people's souls. But if you're going to be challenging, they're going to be deceiving on a level that's been unparalleled in history. Jesus said there's never been a time like it, nor would be again. And so then it only stands to reason, if you've got Satan coming down, inhabiting the Antichrist in place of Jesus Christ, that there would be two powerful witnesses. By the way, they've been in heaven. They know what's going on. They don't have to read the headlines on the internet. The point is that they're going to come and challenge supernaturally. So in that realm, we have, in essence, the biggest supernatural battlefield that's playing out. And already, you call it in the mythology, your definition of sci-fi is perfect, because it is laying the mythological base. Just like there was an Outer Limits that showed a flying saucer, and it was kind of like a gray alien. I don't know if you remember that, but his body fluids were literally powering the craft. And they got the craft, the alien died, but they couldn't power the craft because his body fluids weren't, that was somehow the power. Well, there's instances where they found that in modern history. So I don't know the episode, but it's an Outer Limits episode. So as you are now watching the unveiling, and let's say this, not so much disclosure, I would use the word satanic enclosure. In other words, God gave us His wonderful creation. The heavens declare the glory of God. The earth shows forth His firmament, or His handiwork. The thing is that now you've got all this stuff converging. And Doug, you said a powerful word. I posted an article today, and Dave Daubermeyer is to be commended, about what happened to the name of Jesus. Jesus is being criminalized while the criminals are being sanctified. And I don't mean biblical sanctification. I mean the exalted ones. Maybe there's a better word. Your thoughts on that?
The idea of standing up against Jesus with the force of the state, I think goes all the way back to the Roman Empire and Pontius Pilate. That incredible narrative that culminates in the crucifixion of Christ. I think you can replay that in the latter days, and there will be a modern day Pontius Pilate standing up, probably in the very near future. Perhaps there are a few candidates out there right now standing up against Jesus. You and I know that He is the creator of the heavens and the earth. He has more high-tech solutions in His little finger than we can imagine in a lifetime. And He is, what can I say? He is the answer to the problem of the invasion of planet Earth that's taking place right now. Just one quick thought, and one of the things I'm going to share at the meeting is the story about an individual that I knew very, very well, who designed the Intercontinental Ballistic System alarm network. And he was a brilliant electronics engineer. And he confided in me at one point that he said, "Gary, you know what our biggest problem was in designing the ICBM alarm trigger system?" He said it was constantly being falsely triggered by overflying UFOs, and we had to do some very clever designing to design this thing so that it would not be falsely tripped by UFOs, which I think is a fascinating story. The UFOs have or incorporate a kind of technology that interposes itself with the technology of humankind at the present level in some ways. And that's a very interesting story. And by the way, if I could quickly just add, one of the things I'm going to share, and for years and years and years, I didn't say a word about this, not to anyone. But I'm going to share the story about how I flew in formation for quite a length of time with the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It was a disc-shaped UFO. And there's a very, very long and I think a biblically sound narrative that goes with this.